Masturbation is the best form of stress relief. I'm kidding, sort of, mostly. Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome to my channel. I'm Grace, and I'm an emotional mastery coach helping you to become your most empowered, emotionally stable self. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my top 3 ways to deal with stress. And stick around to the end of this video because I have 3 bonus tips on healthful eating that can help you to reduce your stress levels. Now, if you have been living in today's world, chances are there's a bunch of stressors right now that you may need help coping with. After all, it's not exactly the most stress-free time in human history. So if you're feeling a little stressed out, stick around because this video is perfect for you. So while I was sort of mostly kidding about masturbation being the best form of stress relief, there is wisdom in that coming into the physical body is so pivotal for helping to regulate the stress response. When we come into the body, what we are doing is giving the thinking mind a break. We're allowing ourselves to really come into the feeling state and becoming very aware of the present moment. If you find yourself having a lot of challenges dealing with stress, chances are that your fight or flight system, the sympathetic nervous system, is highly activated. In response to stress, your body's natural reaction is to try and protect you, which is actually a beautiful thing. Now, when this becomes challenging is when it begins to impact your mental health and take away from your quality of life. Most of us today actually are very activated in that sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, or freeze response that so many of us experience, with very little time to come into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest setting in our brain. So, passionate self-love sessions aside, here are my top 3 favorite ways to use the physical body to help manage the stress in your life. Number 1, creating a daily pranayama or breath work practice. For those of us who aren't familiar, pranayama or breath work is the practice of mindfully controlling the breath. So what we're doing here is really consciously choosing to tap in to the breath, right? Becoming very present with it and actively guiding the breaths that we're taking with each inhalation and exhalation. Diaphragmatic breathing, where we're breathing into the belly and really becoming activated in the diaphragm, has been scientifically shown to stimulate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the main influencer for that parasympathetic nervous system or that rest and digest system that our bodies have. So the more we can activate that vagus nerve, the more it'll help us to regulate the stressors that we experience in our life, as well as helping to reduce anxiety. And I'm going to be making another video about pranayama in particular, so if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post a new video. For those of us who are beginners to the pranayama practice and haven't had as much experience with it, one great pranayama technique that I love to do is called belly breathing. So what we are doing here is really focusing breathing deeply into the belly first and then expanding the upper lungs and rib cage out and upward. So I know along my earlier journey when I was first exploring pranayama a few years ago, the idea of breathing deeply into my belly was really foreign to me, and at first it could be really challenging. So for beginners, helpful tip, it really helps to lay down on your back and place one hand on your belly and consciously try to raise that hand up simply through breathing deeply into the belly. There are a lot of scientific studies going on right now about mindful breathing and how breath work helps to reduce the levels of stress that we experience, as well as reducing anxiety, helping to boost immune function, bringing more mental stillness and clarity, as well as increasing focus and improving your ability to sleep. If that doesn't sound a reason to try it, I don't know what does. Now, one thing that I do want to stress is cultivating a daily practice of this because the effects need to be cumulative. One of the most important reasons why we want to make this a daily practice is that we want to be able to practice breath work when we are not emotionally activated. Now, why do we do this? So to make this a little simpler, imagine that you're an athlete that plays soccer. And there's a huge game that's coming up, right? And there's a lot of pressure that's riding on this. You're not gonna walk into the game expecting to score a big goal and win the game without first having practiced and mastered the techniques and skills that you need in order to win the game. So we can think of the daily practice of breathwork as something similar. It is a tool that we are practicing and mastering so that when we are stuck behind that jerk in traffic who is causing us all kinds of stress, or we have that big work meeting that we need to prepare for, we can tap into this tool during that time. Because I know for most of us, our default programming when we do encounter those immediate stressors isn't going to be,
okay, let me mindfully breathe into my belly now.
Unless we have actively practiced and cultivated this habit outside of the stressful environment. The second thing that I have for you guys today to help with your ability to cope with stress is to find physical movement that feels good for your unique energy. So for me personally, I have never liked going to the gym. The environment feels stressful to me, it feels chaotic, I simply just don't enjoy it. For other people, it works great. I cannot stress enough the importance of finding movement that resonates with your energy specifically. Before I transitioned into emotional mastery coaching, I was originally a health and wellness coach. And the clients who were the most successful in reaching their wellness goals were the ones who were able to really find physical activity and movement that they actually enjoyed. There's no point in making yourself go to the gym or take that run if that's something that you truly hate. When we choose to tap into movement as a way to get into the physical body, it is so important for us to choose one that our bodies jive well with and that really boosts our energy and gives us that lift. Especially if our goal is to create a longer consistent practice of this in order to help regulate stress on a more consistent basis, we really want to be picking something that makes sense for us personally. And I'm sure this comes as no surprise to you that regular physical activity has been shown to decrease stress levels, alleviate anxiety and depression, help to elevate the mood by releasing feel-good endorphins into the system, and also boost the immune system. My personal favorites to tap into my physical body are yoga, hiking in nature, and playful dance. The third way to tap into the physical body in order to help reduce stress is to eat healthful, tasty, delicious, whole, natural foods. So first, I kind of want to define what a whole food is. It is a food that is natural and grows out of the ground. If nature didn't grow it, maybe don't eat it as much. It's not that hard to look at a potato chip and be like,
okay, this probably didn't come from a tree or the ground or anything similar.
In other words, the only ingredient in the food should be the food itself. And I feel like this doesn't get talked about nearly enough. The food that we eat has a huge influence on how we feel, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, energetically as well. All right, and as promised, for those of us who stuck around to the end of the video, my 3 bonus tips on what we can eat in order to help us to manage our stress. Number 1, up your intake of those leafy green vegetables. Turns out, mom was right. Eating those veggies is especially key. And here's why. Dark leafy greens have a power-packing nutrient in them, and that nutrient is magnesium. So why is magnesium so important? Well, this is essentially like nature's chill pill. What magnesium does is to help soothe the nervous system and to help alleviate that stress response so that we can respond to stressors in a better way. So load up on that kale, that spinach, those collard greens, turnip greens, and mustard greens. These are all power-packed with magnesium. The second thing that we can eat to help with our stress response is to really consume a lot of omega-3s. For those of us who are plant-based, it is especially essential for us to get the omega-3s in because these healthy fats are essential in playing an anti-inflammatory role in boosting brain health. And this in turn can help to reduce the anxiety response. So the next time you're at the supermarket, grab some walnuts, grab some avocados, pumpkin seeds, edamame. Edamame actually is pretty rich in magnesium as well. Brussels sprouts, seaweed, algae, hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, all of these are power-packed full of omega-3 fatty acids. And the third food that I love to incorporate to help reduce the stress response is chamomile tea. Now you can do other herbal teas in particular, but I chose chamomile because of the specific benefits for anxiety and sleep. Chamomile is especially helpful for relieving stress because of the compound Matricaria recutita.
I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
This compound binds to the same receptors in the brain as certain anti-anxiety medications such as Valium, except with none of the terrible side effects. And chamomile tea in particular has a compounding effect. So if you drink it regularly, let's say you drink it every day, the effects are going to be compounded and stored in your system, having a wider reaching benefit and longer lasting results. Now, if you're going to try other herbal teas, lavender, spearmint, peppermint, eucalyptus, passion flower, these are all really great to help your body cope with stress naturally. It's important to note that caffeine should be avoided when we're dealing with stress because caffeine causes a lot of stress for the adrenal system. And adrenal fatigue actually is going to make you way more stressed out because these glands that are located on top of the kidneys respond to stress by releasing cortisol, the stress hormone. And caffeine stimulates all of this. And that stress hormone, cortisol, guess what that does? They increase your blood pressure and heart rate, and you guessed it, contribute to that fight, flight, or freeze response, which is exactly what we're looking to reduce when coping with stress. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope this was helpful for you. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite ways of coping with stress are by coming into the physical body.
Aside from everyone's favorite, masturbation, of course.
For more videos like this every week, subscribe to my channel and boop that little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post a new video. Have a beautiful rest of your day.